Everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Brittany. This is the Brittany React Show, and on this show we talk all things movies and entertainment. Sorry that I missed yesterday and then Sunday. Um, Sorry about that, but I'm here today. We actually have a lot of really fun things to go over. We have to talk about the fact that Sydney Sweeney is dating Scooter Braun. Yes, that is relevant to the entertainment discussion. We have to talk about that Superman finally has a sequel confirmed and a release date. We have to talk about the new Wicked teaser. We have to talk about a bunch of things. I actually think we have a really good stream for today, so I am excited to go over it. But of course, first, I want to say hi to everyone in the chat. Hi, Natanya. Hi, Mini Queen. Hi, Morbid and Sarcastic. Hi, Eugene. Hi, Cheetah Viper. Hi, Alexander Padilla. Hi, Cream Cheese. Hi, Rodrigo. Sorry, I don't think I said that right. Hi, Mythic. Thank you to each and every one of you who comes here and is here on a random Wednesday night. Thank you so much. Alexander says Sydney Sweeney needs a new agent and manager. Here's the thing. I think she doesn't care. I think she likes to, make the internet mad. I think she thinks it's funny. So I don't think it's about, oh, she just has a bad team. I just think that, she likes to rage bait, and this is where we're at. But we're gonna get into that. Actually, there is no box office news for today. The reason is there's really not much interesting happening at the box office, so I decided to just skip that altogether this time. Hi, Josh. Oh, wait, you have a star? What is that? Oh, you've been a member for a long time. Thank you so much, Josh. But anyway, I think that's what that means. Let's just go straight to entertainment news, like I said. So, K-pop Demon Hunters has become Netflix's most popular original film of all time. So we're talking bigger than Bird Box, bigger than that Red Notice movie with Ryan Reynolds and The Rock, who we're also going to talk about today. So this is pretty big deal, and it's still going. It's not like it's slowing down. It's still holding pretty strong. So this is going to be, I think they said this is their Frozen. I think that's accurate. It's unfortunate that it's not going to be a more theatrical franchise because it should be. For those who don't know, so obviously Sony Animation is the company that made the movie, but they sold the rights. Well, I don't think they sold the rights, but they made a deal with Netflix that Netflix will be the one to distribute the movie. So even though the movie's a huge hit, Sony Animation can't just be like, oh, we want to make this a theatrical play now, because Netflix has that decision, and Netflix wants to keep it just on streaming, because that's their business model. They don't want to, for whatever reason, they're really against making money in theaters. They only want to make money streaming. So that's kind of where they're at. I know Sony Animation has to be kicking themselves that they made that deal. Because honestly, I don't understand why you would look at this movie and you would think, oh, this won't be a hit. I feel like you have to be pretty, not in the know, pretty, oblivious to current pop culture trends to look at this movie and think, oh, well, let's just give this to Netflix. Because that's essentially what they did. And now they're regretting it. Because this could have been, potentially, a $1 billion hit in theaters. We don't know, but, I honestly think with the hype that's, the hype is so strong with this movie, I do believe it has that potential. So, but it's not. They only allowed it in theaters for one weekend. That was last weekend. It's already out of theaters. It was only for, 3 days. Or was it 2 days? I don't even remember. It was, for only a couple of days. So this is really... Netflix wants to keep this on the streaming service. They do not want it in theaters. However, I mean, maybe their strategy is working because it has become Netflix's most original film of all time, and it's been so successful that it has already spawned a number of copycats. So Olive Hollywood wants to really cash in on the K-pop craze that's happening this summer. So we have a new K-pop slasher horror film called Perfect Girl. That's being made. It's described as Scream meets Black Swan. It follows a newly formed K-pop band that a talented and mysterious new girl joins, but soon other girls begin to be haunted and attacked. So this is like another K-pop movie that's live action that's being made. This isn't the only one though. Hybe, which is an actual K-pop label that has, like, for example, BTS is under Hybe. So like they're like one of the most well-known K-pop labels in the music industry, is teaming up with Paramount Pictures to create their own K-pop themed movie. So like we're about to see a bunch of like K-pop themed movies popping up, not just in animation but in live action. And I think that's actually smart. As I've been saying a lot on my channel, I do feel like Hollywood needs to get more in the know about what's popular with, kids today, essentially. I feel like, sorry. I feel like a lot of the people who are in charge of greenlighting films don't actually know what's popular with teens. I see a lot of articles, we talked about one last week, where, like, Hollywood is trying to reach out to Gen Z, and, like, but they don't know because a lot of the people who are in these greenlighting positions are, like, older millennial and older. So, like, they're not really up to date or in the know with what's cool with, like, Gen Z and the youth or whatever. So, I mean, it took another film breaking out to prove that K-pop is popular, but now they know. They should have known before, but now they do. And now they're just going to try to copy K-pop success. So let's see how that works out for them. It could work. It might come off as cringy. Who knows? But I'm definitely interested to see, like, where this trend goes. If we start seeing more merging of, like, the music industry and the film industry together, because I think that would be really interesting. Josh says you think the K-pop horror movie sounds cool. I do too. I really do. I think these actually sound like interesting concepts, so I'm hoping that these movies are actually good. Alexander Padilla says Netflix is the Coca-Cola of streaming. That's not necessarily a bad thing for them. I mean, Coca-Cola is known around the world. Everyone has drinking at least one Coke before in their lives. I mean, I guess that's a good way to describe them, although I think you mean that as a bad thing. Oh, you think the movie was just mid, though? I think it was good. I don't think it's as good. Like, I still like Frozen better, just personally. But I do understand why a lot of, like, teens really like it. I think if I was still a teenager, I probably would be obsessed with this movie as well. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of animation, Walt Disney Animation, they're trying to, stay with it. They're trying to, stay relevant in an era where it feels like Disney Animation and Pixar are both increasingly losing relevancy in the sort of animation space. But it seems like they understand that at least one, they need to experiment with new animation styles because, I mean, hello, look at this image. This is definitely something different, which is good. And two, that they do need to, like, give us something new and not just a bunch of, like, sequels. Because this is another original story. So what is this one about? So this movie will be called Hexed, and it follows the film follows a teenager and his mom who discovered his weirdness is actually hidden magic that transports them into a world where magic can run free. And I gotta be honest with you, I think the plot sounds really generic. I feel like they've already done this plot. The whole, like, oh, the hidden magic in you just need it to be, unlocked and you're actually super powerful. I mean, is that not what, like, Encanto was? Like, with Maribel? Isn't that kind of, like, the same thing here? I mean, even with Moana, look at Moana 2. Like, I feel like they've already done this story, so the story doesn't sound very interesting to me. However, I am excited by the animation. Now, I don't know, this is just concept art. I don't know if the movie will actually end up looking like this, because as we all know, the concept art for Wish actually looked a lot better than what we end up getting in the movie. So who knows, they might change a lot by the time we actually get the film. However, I do like that it looks wildly different than the animation they've been doing. This does not look like Bean Mouth Grubhub animation, which, thank God. You guys know I hate that style. This is not that, so I'm happy about that. Lots of color, also happy about that. So visually this is promising, but I gotta be honest, I think the story is, like, been there, done that a million times. Valerie says it's giving a mix of Onward and Harry Potter. Yeah, I can see that. Um, Pablo says, I wouldn't be surprised if it looks nothing like the concept art. Yeah, a lot of times the movie, it doesn't end up looking like the concept art. I'm just hoping that it does, because I really like how this looks here, but I'm nervous that it's going to end up looking a lot different. Will is also over the bean mouth. Natani needs to see a trailer. Yeah, I think the trailer will really confirm if this is like worth getting excited over or not, because right now they're in such a losing streak for me that I do need to see more before I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely going to be good. Because like Wish was really not good. Wish was like a genuinely really bad movie. Um, so as long as it's better than Wish, honestly, that's the floor. And already they've got me with this image, but we'll see what they actually do with the film. Now, moving on, because Pixar also announced some their future slate. So we have Hoppers coming out next year. That's March 2026. Now, Hoppers is that I think it's a beaver. Like they put the girl's mind in the body of a beaver, and you live out your life as a beaver. It's that story. I've already talked about it a lot. I think it looks really, really dumb. I think the premise sounds really, really dumb. I think it could be another Elio for them just because I don't think the premise sounds interesting at all. However, they do have a lot of sequels coming up to like make sure that they're at least financially stable, I guess. They have Toy Story 5, Incredibles 3, and Coco 2, which I think all of those movies are going to be successful. So hopefully that keeps Disney from like completely like just merging Pixar and Disney animation, because I know there's been some rumors that they've considered it because both are really struggling right now. And honestly, I kind of feel like the difference between Pixar movies and Disney animated films are like, it's becoming less and less. Like there's almost no difference to me anymore. Like I used to never get them confused. Like to me they used to be like very different. And now with like the most recent movies, I'm like getting confused on which one was Pixar, which one was Disney animation, and that is not a good look for Pixar. Because Pixar movies are supposed to be a cut above the rest, and now I kind of feel like Sony Animation is now the leading animation studio in Hollywood. I don't even think that they're like. Not only do I think that Pixar movies aren't even that much different from Disney animated movies now, I also don't even think Pixar is like the leading company in animation anymore, like they were for decades. So that's really embarrassing for them. And then this Gato movie here is that cat movie I showed you guys a couple of weeks ago. It kind of looks like a ripoff of Flow. Even the plot sounds exactly like Flow, and the animation looks like Flow. So it just looks like it's going to be Pixar's version of Flow. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe. Honestly, I'm kind of a little irritated with Gato just because it does look so much like Flow that I'm like, does Pixar have so little trust in their own ability to make original, interesting stories that they're just copying successful movies? Because Flow won the best animated feature film last year at the Oscars. So are they just like, we know we have a problem making originals, so we're just copying what we know is works, what critics like? Because that's what I'm getting with Gato. Maybe the movie will be good, and maybe it won't be anything like Flow, but I have to say, from the premise to the art style, it looks like an exact copy. So honestly, this lineup, even though I'm really excited for Incredibles 3, I think I liked Incredibles 2 more than most people. I don't know, I really liked Incredibles 2. Toy Story 5, I'm annoyed by because I feel like Toy Story should have ended at Toy Story 3. However, I do like the premise of Toy Story 5 because, as you know, it's about technology and how kids are more into technology than traditional toys, which is, again, as I said, something I feel like they should have talked about like 10 years ago because that's not anything new. But at least they're finally getting around to telling that story. So that the story, Toy Story 5, is interesting enough that I'm actually looking forward to it. Even though I really did not like Toy Story 4 at all. And then Coco, I thought Coco was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't one of my favorite Pixar films, so I'm kind of about Coco too. So overall, I would say this lineup is like okay. It's not amazing. I don't think all of these are home runs. Like, we'll see about Hoppers or Gato, but I think there's enough here that I think Pixar should be safe enough for now. What do you guys think of this lineup or any of these future films, from Hex to the Pixar lineup? Are you excited for any of these movies? What are your thoughts? Um, JMB says the plot of Hex is just like Owl House. Yeah, the plot is extremely generic. I feel like I've seen that exact plot in like at least 10 other movies in just the past like 10 years. Um, it's really the animation style that I saw in the concept art that's getting me, because the plot is like extremely generic. Yeah, Cheetah Viper says the beaver sounds weird. Hopper sounds terrible to me. I'd be shocked if that movie ends up being good, but who knows? Maybe it will. I'm always open to changing my mind. It has happened before, but I think the premise just sounds thoroughly unappealing. Mythic doesn't care about any of them. Eamon says, I was at the recent D23 and they showed footage for Hoppers and Toy Story 5. They both seem promising. I did see the footage for D23, at least what leaked online. It might just be something that's for like little kids, which is fine. Little kids need movies. However, Pixar used to make films that appeal to everyone, and I don't know why it seems like they don't know how to do that anymore. So we'll see. And I don't think it's just like, oh, well, it's for kids, so it doesn't need to be like that deep, because Pixar used to make really deep movies for kids that everyone loved. So I just don't know why it seems like they can't do that anymore. I really think it's just coming down to the generation of talent that was there when like we were growing up is no longer there, and I think it's a whole new generation of talent there, and I just, oof, if I'm being completely bluntly honest, I don't think they're as talented as the previous gen. That's what I think is happening. Harry Potter and Disney fan says Incredibles 3 makes me curious, but I don't know, none of these movies I think will be that good. I'm most curious out of all of these for Toy Story 5 and Incredibles 3. I think those could still be good, hopefully. So I think there's some hope. And all's not lost yet. I would say, like, Marvel and Star Wars are still in a worse position than Pixar. So it's not, like, life or death for them yet. Especially Marvel. I would even go as far as to say Marvel's now in a worse place than Star Wars, which is just really sad. But anyway, let's move on. So the reason why I'm bringing this ad up again is because we're about to talk about Sydney Sweeney. And if you guys remember, and the other week I talked about the Cat's Eye Gap ad and how it went crazy viral. Well, it amassed over 400 million views and 8 billion impressions across all platforms. And this ad is like done so well for them that they basically said that it revitalized Gap's whole business. So the reason I'm bringing that up, not just because I'm a Cat's Eye fan now, but because Sydney Sweeney seems like she's on a rampage to just become like the most unlikable actress in Hollywood. And of course, it all started with her American Eagle ad. Well, I wouldn't even say it really started there, because she was already kind of like unlikable, teetering on unlikable before then. But I think it was the American Eagle ad that put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. And to be fair, I don't even think like the ad is this like Yahtzee dog whistle that like some people have been saying it is. I don't think it's that. I think it was just meant to be like a joke that really got like, interpreted all sorts of ways. However, for what gives me the ick for me is how Sydney kind of blamed women for that reaction, and like her like reaction to that reaction. Every comment she's made around it or about it or any of the backlash she's received recently, it's like she comes across as really tone deaf. Like, oh, I'm sorry, like, why? I just, her comments come across like someone who thinks her ish smells like flowers, if you know what I mean, and that if you think that's not true, you're just jealous of her. And it's like, no, it's not because of jealousy. In fact, that's why I brought this ad up. For all the people that were saying people who didn't like that American Eagle ad were just jealous. There's 6 beautiful women in the Gap ad, and no one's talking about jealousy, and everyone liked that one. So I don't think that was about jealous. I personally am not jealous of Sydney Sweeney. Like, I do not want to be her, especially now that she's dating this guy or that guy. So I just think that she keeps like saying comments in the press that just make her seem really unlikable. And then there's the whole bathwater thing. Like where she was selling like her like soap that was like her bathwater. And that's just so gross. It's so gross. And again, she tried to like blame that on women for not liking it when it's like, why are you throwing women under the bus to make yourself seem better? Like, she comes across like the biggest pick me who has like just the worst aura. Like, she does. She just has the worst aura. I'm sorry. Even in this picture, she comes across like just like a nasty person you wouldn't want to be around. And then on top of that, it comes out that she and Scooter Braun are now dating, and they met at Jeff Bezos' wedding in Venice. So, like, she's hanging around, like, all the people hate, and is now dating, like, the guy a lot of women really hate because of the Taylor Swift situation. And also, I would add in what he did to Justin Bieber as well. So, it's like I think she's doing it to rage bait partially, but also I think she's just like really like in a bubble where she's completely surrounded by people that tell her like how amazing she is and how everyone who doesn't like her is just jealous and is weird or whatever. Like, I really think she believes that, and that's why she's doing all these things that are like so unpopular. Because I don't think she understands why it's unpopular. She just thinks everyone else is the problem and not her. And I think if you look anywhere on the internet, I can't find a single positive comment about her from anyone unless they're like some like far right guy who still thinks this is about like white supremacy or something. Like, seriously, because I was watching that Cat's Eye Gap ad a lot. Whenever I would look at the comments on TikTok, what people are saying, it was all people like making fun of her, saying like the worst things about her looks. The general public, from what I can tell, is not on her side. And I do wonder if that will affect her professionally. I don't think it'll stop her getting roles. In fact, I think all this controversy will probably help her get roles because people are talking about her. But I don't think it's really going to build her an audience that actually wants to go see her work in theaters. Like, she's building up an audience of far-right men and just, like, men in general who think she's attractive. But she's going to age out of that, and soon, because she's, like, not that young. So, like, I feel like she's not intentionally, I think it's actually unintentional, but what's actually happening is I think she's, like, shrinking the potential of her career long term. Because as soon as those looks dry up, right? I mean, that's all she's built her entire career on. Like, that's it. Like, that's her whole thing. Once her looks are gone, she's not really going to have a career. And that actually happens to a lot of women who base their entire career based on their looks. Think of, like, Megan Fox, for example. Another person who based their entire career based on their looks. Now, she's still attractive, but she is, like, older now, so, like, even though she's not, like, ugly or anything, she's now too old to be, like, the hot girl. But I think that's going to be Sydney Sweeney's fate, because she keeps making herself thoroughly unappealing, particularly to women. And she's only appealing to men who are only there for her looks. And I don't understand the business strategy of that. Is there anyone here who disagrees? I mean, is anyone here like, no, I like her, or what? I just find it to be odd. I find her to be like very oblivious to reality and a bit tone deaf. But what do you guys think? Donata says, I fear that Sydney Sweeney is going to fall into the same traffic as Megan Fox. I feel like Megan Fox, or maybe it's more accurate to say her management pushed her too much in the sex symbol department, and I don't think her career has really gone anywhere. Honestly, and this is allegedly for entertainment purposes only, but there, you guys know I love to read gossip blinds and celebrity blinds. I'm very nosy like that. I saw a blind a few weeks ago that said that Jeff Bezos is trying to get her into the Bond film and, like, get her a bunch of roles in Hollywood. And I kind of believe that because, I mean, she was at Jeff Bezos' wedding. Now, why he's doing that for her, I'm going to let you fill in the blank yourself. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she's doing favors for people to get roles, is all I'm saying. And once that becomes more obvious, I also think that's not going to help her. And I don't even say that about most or really any other actress. I mean that specifically for her, because it sounds like that's what's going on. And I feel like maybe that's why she even went for Jeff. I mean, not Jeff, for Scooter. Like, Scooter still has a lot of connections in the industry. Maybe she's thinking, like, he can get me something, he can keep me relevant, he can keep me famous. I can see her, like, really clinging to a lot of famous people, famous, powerful people, who she thinks can do stuff for her, and they probably can, because they're just that, powerful. I even saw a rumor that she might be in the freaking, Devil Wears Prada sequel, and I really do not want that, because I do not think that audience will like her at all. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how this affects her career in general. Josh says, I don't want her to be a Bond girl. Me either. There are apparently rumors that Ariana Grande could be the next Bond girl, and I would very much prefer Ariana Grande. Love Ariana, even though also has her own messy-ish. But I think she's way more likable than Sydney Sweeney is. Alexandra says, it's like the conversation of Austin Butler and Glenn Powell being Bond. Hell no. Why are they asking Americans? I really don't understand that. I'm getting a little nervous about who they're going to cast in this Bond franchise, because I feel like they're really going to try to Americanize it. I'm not even British, and I don't like that. Morbid and Sarcastic says, she is literally the most generic-looking white woman. She looks like the embodiment of the state of Utah. What? She looks like the embodiment of the state of Utah? Are you saying she looks Mormon? I can see that. I don't know why, but I can see that. She's definitely giving off, like, conservative, like, trad wife vibes, so I can see that. But that's really funny. The embodiment of Utah. But yeah, I actually agree. That's why again, I was pointing to the Cat's Eye Gap ad. Because I actually think all 6 of these women are more attractive than her. So I'm like, trust me, girl, it's really not about jealousy. Like, I just think that you have a very unlikable personality, and you can continue to make decisions that only make you more unlikable. Simone Ashley as a Bond girl. My friend just saw Simone Ashley in the city just yesterday in real life. So that's so funny. But I actually think that Simone Ashley would be a good Bond girl. I like her too. Yeah, Donna says, I know she's not a Nepo baby. She had to, like, work her way up. Apparently she was broke during the first season of Euphoria. So, like, I get that she comes from nothing, which I like. However, she moves like a Nepo baby, which is interesting. But anyway, I just had to bring this up because, I mean, we have Euphoria coming up. There are rumors of her being in other things. I'm just curious to see how this will affect her performance at the box office. Will people show up to her movies? What is her audience now? I just think she's building a very flaky, not solid audience to build her career on. And I think she's thinking very short sightedly. And in the long run, I think it's going to hurt her. But anyway, let's move on from Sydney. Now, speaking of, someone who maybe needs a bit of redemption, The Rock, I think, is very aware of his image and how people perceive him. I think, as we've talked about, Black Adam was not good for him. Even though it was the most successful DC film for a while before Superman came out, it still was considered like a huge disappointment. It basically ended the DCEU because it didn't do well enough. So I think The Rock realized that the tide was turning against him. There are a lot of viral tweets of people talking about him being the worst actor, worst athlete turned actor. And I can see him seeing those comments, because I do think he's very online. I can see him, like, for example, I think he watches Grace Randolph. I think The Rock genuinely watches her. And, like, gets advice from her. I'm not kidding. That's been my, like, conspiracy theory for a while. But anyway, The Rock knows that, like, people have not been taking him seriously as an actor. And I think that's why he's, like, now all about, being a serious actor. And he's in this film called The Smashing Machine, where he plays a wrestler. It's a very, like, Oscar bait type role. And it's getting a lot of really good reviews. It's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And he went to, he was at, I forget which film festival this was. Is this Cannes? No. I forgot which film festival this is. But they just showed his movie at one of the film festivals. And he got a 15-minute standing ovation, and he cried. Which, we don't usually see The Rock crying on camera. He usually likes to put on a big macho man bravado. And so it's interesting seeing him cry on camera. It could be genuine. It could just be he was caught in the moment. However, I do think The Rock is also extremely smart, extremely PR aware. And I do see him, like, thinking, like, oh, I need to show a softer side of myself, the more artistic side of myself, to get, back in people's good graces. So I can see him potentially, like, shedding a tear or two for the camera to be like, oh, look, I'm a sensitive, serious actor now. I don't mean to be so cynical. But honestly, after I've come to really understand that most actors, or just Hollywood celebrities in general, are like playing a role and lying constantly and nothing's real, I question everything. I question everything. So now I'm just like, okay, is this genuine, or is this the part of the artist? Because he's Oscar hungry. And when The Rock wants something, he goes after it hard, but also very smartly and strategically. And I think The Smashing Machine is his way of, like, I think it's his way of trying to seem like a serious actor and get the industry to respect him again. And it could work. I mean, the reviews are doing really well. And again, he's putting out comments like this. I looked around a few years ago and started to think I am living my dream, or am I living other people's dreams? Like, he's giving up these big, comments about how he's no longer making movies for the box office. He's making movies for himself. And I'm just like, this is just like an Oscar campaign that he started a long time ago. Shelley Lee, either tell me I'm wrong with proof or not. Like, I'm not salty. You come here for my honest truth. This is the honest truth. I think that I think this is all part of his Oscar campaign. I think he just wants to be respected again, and this is what he's doing to get in their good graces. And I think it's probably going to work. We'll see if he gets that nomination. I know he really wants it. I'm not rooting against him. I'm just saying I do think all of this is a bit for show. So what do you guys think? Would you guys watch this? Do you think he'll get nominated? What are your thoughts? Um, Alexander? Oh, he does? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Oh, it was the Venice Film Festival. That's right. Thank you. I forgot which one it was. There's so many film festivals. Like, I feel like there's one every other month. Okay, this one's the Venice Film Festival. And he got, like I said, 15-minute standing ovation, even for Venice Film Festival, is, like, pretty significant. So, like, people like him, people like this movie. I don't think it's impossible that he might actually get an Oscar nom for this, which I'm sure he would be elated. I saw a tweet. Someone said, you guys know if he wins an Oscar for this, he's gonna run for president next. And well, I haven't been saying, but I've been thinking for years, I think The Rock really wants to run for president. And I kind of think the Democratic field is wide open, to be honest. So, I don't even think he would have a 0% chance. That's all I'm gonna say. Not getting into politics, but I'm saying, don't be shocked if The Rock does run, because I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Um, Anyway, Kana Bluey says, this is the movie based on the true story of a real life wrestler. Yes, I believe. Um, he is desperate for the Oscar, but I do think it could work for him. I do think it could work for him. Now, I think he'll be smarter at trying to campaign than, unfortunately, Lady Gaga, and this pains me because I'm a huge Lady Gaga fan. Oh, did I tell you guys? I went to Mayhem Ball. I went to the Mayhem Ball. I saw Lady Gaga in person at Madison Square Garden. It was beautiful. The whole concert was amazing. I'll never forget it. So this is coming from a massive Lady Gaga fan because those tickets were not cheap. But I just had to go. The FOMO was too strong. And I have to admit, like, how Gaga was, like, trying to campaign for an Oscar for Gucci was cringy. And A Star is Born, let's be honest. So I hope he doesn't go that direction with it. But I think he'll be much more strategic in that vein. So I don't think he'll go with, with the whole, there could only be one person in the room and, that whole spiel. Yes, I did have so much fun at Gaga's concert. She really is an amazing performer. Top class, like, no notes, best concert I've ever seen. Yeah, I know. I'm really upset that she was only in, like, 2 minutes of Wednesday. Like, I expected more. I'm really upset about that. But I know she's been busy, like, with her music career this year. This year's been all about music. She hasn't really been focusing on her acting career. But yeah, I was disappointed it was only 2 minutes. I was hoping for more. But anyway, let's move on. So, speaking again of redemption and actors who kind of like read the room and is like working on themselves, Will Smith is doing the work. He actually signed a first look deal with Paramount to star in a major theatrical movie, or several movies, based on IP owned by Paramount. His production company will also develop original major films for the studio. So I think this is very good for Will. I think he's picked himself back up after the whole like Oscar slap fiasco, which is still crazy. I watched the Oscars live that year, and I remember watching it thinking it was a skit at first because I was like, this is too crazy. And I was like, oh crap, this is actually real. And like, no, he should not have done that. I still think that was a boneheaded move. I don't understand why he did that. That was clearly he was on an ego trip and thought he could just do no wrong that night. Probably because he knew he was going to win an Oscar. I don't know what was going through his head. But he should not have gone up to slap Chris Rock. However, there have been so many other actors in Hollywood who have done far worse than Will Smith that have gotten way less punishment. And in that vein, I've actually been very irritated by how Hollywood has treated Will Smith because of that. Because I'm like, I just feel like their morals are all over the place and I don't understand it. So, because of that, I've actually been cheering for Will Smith to, like, get back, in the swing of things, get back in his career, And so this is a really big move for him, so I'm actually happy for that. And I'm curious to see what he does, what movies he makes out of this. Because I actually like a lot of Will Smith movies, so I'm happy about this, happy for him. Uh, just to stick it to Hollywood, honestly. So, are you guys interested in this? Are you happy for Will Smith's redemption arc? Are you going to see any of these movies? What are your thoughts? Um, Alexander says you feel like Chris came out of that victorious. I feel like he behaved way more professionally than Will did. That's for sure. Um, I don't know. I don't really feel like he got anything out of that, to be honest. Like, positive or negative. I think it was just kind of neutral for him. Whereas I do think it hit Will, it hit Will harder. But I think he's making his comeback, and so I'm happy about that. Jordan says he's broke. I highly doubt that. I mean, he's been in a million movies. He would be really bad with money if he's broke. Um, Donatella says supposedly the slap had a lot to do with what his marital issues with Jada Pinkett Smith. Supposedly she didn't find the joke funny and told Will Smith to give Chris Rock a piece of her mind. I mean, who knows? Maybe. But I think that whole marriage is weird, and I don't understand that dynamic and why he doesn't divorce her, because Jada seems like an awful partner. Um, yeah, I'm not here to talk about his marriage, because I'll never understand that. But I'm just happy that he's getting something out of this, and, you know, he's fighting back and still having a career, when I think Hollywood really wanted to end it for him. When they let the worst crap happen, the most abuses, the worst stuff, like, Kevin Spacey was just on the red carpet at this Venice Film Festival. Like, it just feels very hypocritical for them to be like, oh, let's punish Will Smith, but, like, we're gonna let all these other abusers that we know about and just, like, keep it hush-hush so the public doesn't know. You know what I mean? I hate that, so, like, yeah. Yeah, the entanglement thing, what is that? What is that? I don't understand. I'll never understand his relationship with her. Never. But let's move on. So, Sophie Turner. Again, Sophie Turner getting her redemption after that really god-awful, what's her name? The X-Men movie that she was in. I'm drawing a blank on the character. Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix was a really bad movie. Really bad. I think it's my least favorite X-Men film. I hated it that much. And honestly, I don't think she was very good in it. Like, I thought her performance was pretty weak. But I've seen her in other things that are good. Like, obviously, I think she was better in Game of Thrones. I saw her in a clip of this other movie. Like, she was really good in that. So I'm still rooting for Sophie Turner. I like her personally, so I hope that she can pull this off. I don't know if she's necessarily hot enough for Lara Croft. Because isn't Lara Croft supposed to be, like a thirst trap? And I don't mean that from a female gaze. I mean that from a male gaze. Sophie Turner is the kind of person that seems, like, attractive from the female gaze. And I don't know if, like, she's hot enough for dudes. And I unfortunately, you do kind of need dudes to watch this movie because it's a video game movie. But anyway, I don't know. Do you think Sophie Turner is hot? Are you interested in Sophie Turner in this role? What are your thoughts on this? I'm rooting for her because I like her, but I don't know if she's necessarily, like, the most commercial choice they could have picked for this role. I do think maybe she could have picked a better role that suited her more, but I'm willing to give this a chance. I mean, the director of Shogun, the director of Shogun, will be working on this, so that's a positive. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I'm gonna be honest, and I know this might be, like, blasphemy, I guess, for some people, but for as good of a writer as Phoebe Waller-Bridge is, I think she can do, like, one specific thing, and it's a very millennial thing. Very millennial thing. And again, if you want this movie to appeal to, like, Gen Z and younger, I just don't know if Phoebe Waller-Bridge is the person you should cast. Because I think she's like, what's her name? The girl from Girls, that show Girls, who dated Jack Antonoff, that woman. She's kind of like that actress where they're both like such writers of their generation that I don't think that they can write a movie that appeals to young people. It's kind of like how they cast Phoebe Waller-Bridge in the last Indiana Jones movie, and no one under the age of like 35 saw that film. Again, I think her stick appeals to an older gen. And I'm just a little concerned this is not like the right packaging to appeal to a younger audience, which is who they should be trying to appeal this to. But are you guys interested in this? Do you think she's the right actor? Do you think Phoebe Waller-Bridge will hurt or help this movie? What are your thoughts here? Um. Okay, Jordan G says, can you elaborate when you keep saying things are millennial? I don't get it. So, there's a very big difference between, like, millennial humor and Gen Z humor. Um, like, there are certain references and even, like, patterns of talking that are very unique to the millennial generation that is different from the Gen Z generation. And I even think that there's, like the worldview and how say like gender roles should be expressed is even different. I mean, if you've been paying attention to like what's going on in the country at all, like Gen Z is becoming increasingly a lot more conservative while millennials are like peak libs. So I just think that there's like a very big difference in sentimentalities and mentalities, and it comes through in the art. Um, and Phoebe Waller-Bridges is definitely like, if I could like have like a Mount Rushmore of millennial writers, I would put Phoebe Waller-Bridge on there, which is good for her. That's like a compliment, but it's also like keeps her in like a specific niche, or not even niche, because like there are more millennials than Gen Z, but like I do think I don't know if she can write something to appeal to a younger audience, is what I'm trying to say. Um, Josh said she won't be as good as Alicia Vikander. What happened to her? She was in a lot of things at one point, and then she just wasn't. I think there was another actress that I think got by a lot on her looks, but you know, as you age, that's not going to help you as much. Um, but interesting. It is interesting. Kana Bluey says, I think Tomb Raider is a pretty old fashioned at this point, so appealing to millennials might not be the wrong play. Maybe if your goal is to go for nostalgia and like try to go for the audience that played it when they were kids, then that could be the right play. But I feel like Hollywood's been like pretty clear about how they want more Gen Z to watch their movies, and it's stuff like this that tell me they still don't understand what it is they like. Because I feel like this is aimed towards like an older audience, and I don't even think they know that. Um, but yeah, that's my take on this. It could be good. I'm still cheering for her. I really like Sophie Turner, but I'm a little nervous this is not the right movie for her. But moving on. So, like I said, we got a new Wicked for Good teaser. I'm really happy about this. I think it looks amazing. I think they definitely fixed the color grading. I think the color grading just looks better from the first one. That was a big topic of discussion. I thought it was valid, honestly. Um, Visually, it just looks amazing. I think Ariana Grande looks amazing. I think they're probably all going to get Oscar noms again. Hopefully she wins this time, but we'll see. Um, Really excited to see the Wizard of Oz elements of this, seeing like, you know, Dorothy and the gang and how much they're utilized. They're not in the Broadway show that much, but I can already tell they're using them more in the movie. So I'm really curious to see like what they do with that. Um, and I'm curious to hear the new songs too, because there's two new songs in this. But I think this will do very well. I think at the very least, everyone who saw the last one will see this one. They're not promoting it as much compared to the last one, but I mean, like, how could they top last year's Wicked press tour? I mean, that press tour spawned a million memes. I feel like they probably both feel like they marketed that movie enough for the both of them. But I'm sure in like a few weeks they're gonna start, going on that press tour again, which I'm very much looking forward to because Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo together are just like gold. But are you guys still looking forward to Wicked for Good? Do you think this one will do as well as the last one? Better or worse? What are your thoughts? Oh, Jess, you're nervous for the new songs? I am too. I'm glad that they have Stephen Sondheim making the songs. If it was anyone else, I'd be a lot more nervous. But since it's Stephen Sondheim, I feel a lot better. But we'll see. We'll see. Blueberry Muffin says, I feel like Wicked might have good characters because there hasn't been much, might have good chances, but there hasn't much this year. Yeah, so far, I do feel like the awards conversation has been weak. Like, there hasn't been a ton of movies that I feel like have Oscar chances, though, of course, we haven't reached awards season yet, like, where a bunch of Oscar bait movies come out, so we still have time. But I am a little nervous because the rest of the soundtrack is so iconic and people like me know those songs so much that I think it is going to be a pretty high bar to like have new songs that match that quality. But we'll see. Hopefully the new songs are just as good. It is Sondheim, right? It's not Schwartz? No, it's Sondheim. Um. Oh no, you didn't like Wicked Part 1? Oh, I love it. It was my favorite movie of last year. I do hope that Meet the Fockers does well just because, again, I like Ariana. I have never seen the first Meet the Fockers. I still feel like it's a weird movie for her to have chosen. But now I feel like I have to watch the first one just so I can understand the second one. Oh, wait. This is the third one, right? There was a second one. Maybe I need to watch those movies. I don't know. But I'm still hoping that they do well because, again, I like Ariana. Josh says, I think Wicked for Good is going to be Universal's biggest hit this year. Oh, I think it could be. I think it really could be. I think it could even do better than last year. You guys are making me look this up because I think I'm getting my composers wrong. Hold on. Oh, it is Steven Schwartz. I was saying Stephen Sondheim. No, it's not Sondheim. It's Schwartz. Sorry, I got them mixed up. I was like, wait a minute. I think it's Schwartz. Yeah, it is Schwartz. My bad. But it's the same guy. It's the same guy. That's doing Wicked. That did the Broadway show. That's doing the two new songs. So that's what I'm excited about. Do I think it could make the $1 billion club? I hope so, but probably not. Just because I think it's generally harder for any movie to get to the $1 billion club, so honestly, as long as it makes as much as the last movie, I'm happy. That's my bar. It's just as much as the last one. So that was around like 700 something. As long as it makes 700 something million, I'm happy. That's all I think it needs to make, to be honest. But anyway, moving on. So speaking of Wicked, did you guys hear about the Wizard of Oz show in the Sphere at Vegas? Like, you guys know the big Sphere that's in Vegas. They have like a special edition of the Wizard of Oz playing there. And they used AI to expand the frame because they had to fill up the whole bowl. And this is a video of what it looks like from the crowd, to give you an idea. Kind of cool. It looks like they have some like immersive stuff flying in the air too. So like, it's kind of a neat idea. However, it's also a little bit suspect because in order to expand the frame, they kind of had to like weirdly frame it. I mean, this is an example of like how it looks in the sphere. And a lot of people were really upset about this. This is actually kind of old. I'm only bringing this up just to point out the fact that Wicked has been so popular that it kind of revitalized the Wizard of Oz in the public consciousness. So now, like, Hollywood's doing a bunch of stuff with the Wizard of Oz. And this is just one of the things that they're doing with it. And it's a little suspect. Just a little. I mean, look at this. This is what it looks like in the original movie, and then this is how it looks like in the sphere. So, and again, this is with AI. They used AI to, like, enhance it and expand it. And obviously this is very controversial because you're dealing with the classic. You're using AI to enhance the classic, and then the results are dubious. So, this is just interesting. I think that this is... I don't know. I feel like this is just a novelty thing. It's obviously not something that's going to theaters. It's just for the sphere. So, I feel like for the novelty, it's okay, but I can see how people would feel like this is blasphemy. But honestly, what makes me more upset is not even this. It's this and then the next story. So, there is a modernized Wizard of Oz series that is in the works at Prime Video. Get this. Gwen Stefani, Blake Shelton, and creator Gina Matthews are attached to this, and it will be YA focused, so young adult, with their yellow brick road used as a metaphor for the challenges and chases facing young adults today. I don't want this. I really, really do not want this. I can't think of a worse people than Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton to do a Wizard of Oz anything. And they wanted to make it like a young adult type movie. I don't know about that. Again, this is a classic film. I get that it's like relevant all over again because of Wicked, but like doesn't mean we really need to like run every IP into the ground, because this sounds like a terrible idea to me. Josh agrees, it sounds horrible. I'm not interested. Are any of you guys interested? Do you want this? Do you want a Gwen Stefani, Blake Shelton led YA focused Wizard of Oz film that's about lessons like from the Yellow Brick Road? Do you guys want this? Jordan says it sounds like a flop. Mythos says, what are we even doing now? I don't know. Honestly, every week I tell you guys about new stuff that's coming out, and every week I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, I feel like the movies that are getting greenlit and getting made, or even the shows, are increasingly becoming weirder and weirder and more desperate to reach audiences, to the point where it's like so clear it's not even about the art anymore. Like, it's just about getting audiences and trying to make money and just, trying to hop on something that's popular. And this is one of those cases where you can tell it's not about the art. And I do feel like this is a huge part of why the industry is struggling, because they're doing stuff like this. I don't think stuff like this is good for the industry at all. Even if it somehow does well, which I doubt, long term it does damage to the entire Hollywood brand. And I think the more that they desecrate their own classics, the more it's only going to hurt Hollywood in general. Connor Blues says sounds like they're going to Riverdale-ify Wizard of Oz. Oh, it does. It does sound like that's what they're going to do. Interesting. Well, that's not even the worst Wizard of Oz story, because I actually think this next one is even worse. So, speaking of that sphere, going back to that sphere, guess who has an AI-generated cameo in that sphere thing? David Zaslav. So now executives, CEOs can now have an AI-generated cameo and stuff, even if it's a classic like The Wizard of Oz, just because they want to. That's the future of entertainment, guys. Are you guys ready to see your favorite CEO in a 3-second cameo of your favorite movie? Because that's what they're doing now. This is where Hollywood is going. I feel like out of all the stories, this one was the one that broke my heart the most. I was like, oh my god, why are we doing this? Um, yeah, ew, exactly. Blueberry Muffin says, who this? He is the CEO of Warner Brothers. Yep. Um, Donataz says, oh joy, everyone's least favorite studio. I know, he really is the least favorite studio CEO, although I think Bob Iger is really up there too. I don't know what's going on anymore, man. Jordan says, oh, you know, he thinks he ate too. He probably thinks that, like, this was the coolest idea. How could anyone hate this? Yeah, I know. This is awful. This is just awful. I don't know why Hollywood's doing this stuff. It's just like anti-art. I don't know how else to say it. But yeah, moving on. Something that I'm actually interested in that does look like art, though, is the new Wuthering Heights film coming up that stars Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi. I don't know if I've told you guys this, but the 2005 Pride and Prejudice movie is my favorite movie of all time. I've seen it a million times. I'll probably still see it a million more times. Love that movie. So I'm a huge Jane Austen fan. So I've been saying for a long time I want Hollywood to make more Jane Austen movies because there's an audience for them, and I feel like I don't understand why they haven't really capitalized on that. So it seems like Margot Robbie has decided to, and it looks super cool. It's like, it's not as like fairy tale esque as the Pride and Prejudice movie. It's a bit more of a modern take, and you can tell that because they have like Charlie XCX's Everything is Romantic playing in the background. Um, but I think it looks really cool. I think it looks beautiful. I think it looks like a very like interesting take on the story. It looks very artistic. I think Margot Robbie is a great actress. After Barbie, like I'm really down to see her next thing. So I think this all just looks really, really good. I love the big sweeping shots. It looks like they shot on location, so we're getting lots of real sets, which I love. And again, the vibe of the trailer is just cool. Apparently, we're getting original songs from Charlie XCX for this too, so we're talking like a really like cool, edgy, modern version of the story, which I'm all for actually. And I really like Charlie XCX as well, so that's really cool that they got original songs from her for this. But would you guys be interested in seeing a Wuthering Heights movie from Margot Robbie with Charlie XCX on the soundtrack? Do you think that's cool, or are you like, that's blasphemy? Why are you trying to modernize it? What is this about? Or are you interested in it like I am? What are your thoughts here? Natanya, that's your favorite song more than Brat from Brat? Yeah, honestly, I think it's between that and 365. Valerie says I like this more than Titanic. It's between Titanic and Pride and Prejudice for my top spot. Yeah, it might be a romantic, I don't know. But it's those two are my top faves. Okay, Blueberry Muffin says just from the pauses it looks really cool. That's great. Yes, I do know that they're making a new Pride and Prejudice miniseries on Netflix. I hope it's good. I really want to know who they cast because the cast is everything. Even more than Elizabeth Bennet, who's playing Mr. Darcy. That's you know who they should get to play Mr. Darcy? David Cornsweet. They should get David Cornsweet to play Mr. Darcy. I feel like he would kill it, and all the women would fall in love with him like they did with the last one. What's his name? I know he's on Succession. What's the actor that played Mr. Darcy? He was also in Deadpool. But I feel like that's who someone like David Cornsweet is who they have to cast for Mr. Darcy. If they do anyone like that, or if they cast him, I think that show could actually do really well. At least I'll watch it. Yes, they should do Sense and Sensibility as well. We should have a whole Jane Austen renaissance. I'd be really happy with that. Robert Pattinson for Mr. Darcy? I'm not against that. I'm not against that one either. Wait, Emma Corrin is going to be Elizabeth Darcy? I'm not against that, actually. I'm not against that. Um, but I really want to know who's playing Mr. Darcy, because that's kind of everything. But yes, we need a Robert Pattinson, David Cornsweet type. And yes, that is a type. Alright, let's move on. So, oh wait, that's perfect timing actually. Speaking of David Cornsweet, we have to talk about Superman. Because they finally confirmed the sequel and we got a release date. So it's coming out July 9th, 2027, which is actually pretty soon. I'm glad that they're doing it soon. Because, you know, with Marvel right now, like, they'll drop a movie and then you don't even know to this world, to this DCU that James is creating. And I do think right now, because I think from the general public's perspective, Superman was better received than Fantastic Four and it obviously did better at the box office. I do think that, like, DC currently is in a better place than Marvel for the first time in decades. Just because I think people are looking forward to the next movie, whereas I think there's a sort of fatigue over Marvel where, like, when people think about Doomsday, there's, like, a groan. Like, people groan, like, oh, like, there just isn't that kind of same level of, like, sure excitement, because I think people are still so burnt on Marvel. Again, I talked to my friends in real life who are, like, I would say are not, like, super movie people. But they did like Marvel at one point, especially one of my friends who did used to, like, see their movies more regularly. But we talked about Doomsday. I brought it up recently. And even for Doomsday, they were just like, eh. Like, I'm really curious to see how that movie does. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to Man of Steel. Not Man of Steel. Not Man of Steel. God, not Man of Steel. Man of Tomorrow. Looking forward to Man of Tomorrow because I really like David Cornsweet in the role. Even though I didn't love Superman, I did like it more than Fantastic Four, and I do think David Cornsweet was really well cast in the role. So I'm looking forward to it for that reason. But are you guys looking forward to more of this Superman? Did you guys think this movie deserved a sequel? Are you looking forward to it? What are your thoughts? Yes, that's the thing. Josh just pointed out that we're getting Man of Tomorrow the same year as Batman 2. And that is true. In fact, they just admitted that the Batman Part 2 will start filming next year. So we're going to get both Superman and Batman both releasing in 2027, which I think is really good. I think that's, like, a really strong year for DC. I think stronger than next year, where I think all they have is, like, Supergirl and Clayface, which we'll see how those movies do, but I'm not, like, super confident about those. But I am a lot more confident about the Batman and Superman 2. So this is really, I think, like I said, overall I think DC is looking up, whereas I think Marvel is really stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. Because they just have to make Doomsday work. They have no other choice. And if Doomsday doesn't work, then I don't know what they're going to do. But are you guys looking forward to this? Seems like not everyone is into this. You guys don't care about Superman? How many of you guys didn't like Superman? Oh well, moving on. We do have a list discussing film, put together a nice list of movies releasing in 2027. And I think 2027 actually looks like a very strong year for movies. I think much stronger than this year, at least. So Zelda, which I think will do very well. Sonic 4, which will do well. Shrek 5 will do well. Frozen 3 will do well. Ice Age 6, we'll see. This is the weakest one on the list for me. A Quiet Place 3, I think that'll do well. Man of Tomorrow, I think that'll do well. Batman 2. Avengers Secret Wars depends on how Doomsday does, but we'll see. Passion of Christ 2, I think will do very well. Beyond the Spider-Verse, I think will do well. Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum. This is one where I'm just like, I don't know, because I am not a Lord of the Rings stan. I've tried to get into those movies. They're just not for me. Don't come for my nerd card, okay? I acknowledge they're like technical masterpieces. I understand that. I just think they're also really boring. Sorry, that's just my personal take. So, I don't know if Lord of the Rings fans are going to want to see some, like, Gollum spin-off. I saw a lot of people making fun of that concept when it was announced. So, we'll see. But, yeah, I don't know. Are Lord of the Ring fans, are you actually guys going to see this? Do you guys care about this? What are your thoughts? What happened? Where did it go? No. Sorry. There we go. Are you guys interested in any of these movies? Morbid and Sarcastic says, I hated Batman so much, they really need to win me over with Robert Pattinson's Batman. I have to say, I agree. I know I'm throwing out a lot of unpopular opinions right now. I fully acknowledge that. But I also was not a huge fan of the Batman Part 1, so that's not really the movie that most excites me on this list. The movie that most excites me on this list is, honestly, Shrek 5, Frozen 2, and Man of Tomorrow. Those are the ones that I'm most excited to see. But there's some other ones. There's some really good, interesting movies on this list. It is a lot of blockbusters and sequels, but, I mean, that's what it consistently does well, so that's just where we are. Oh, Donataz, you like Fantastic Four more than Superman? Okay, that's fair. See, I have no idea when we're gonna get a Fantastic Four sequel. We already have the sequel announcement for Superman, but who knows when we'll see a sequel to Fantastic Four, or if we will ever see one. That's really just one of the many problems with Marvel. Okay, Miss Players, looking forward to Sonic, Man of Tomorrow, and Beyond the Spider-Verse. Yeah, looking forward to Beyond the Spider-Verse as well. Amaranth says, love Lord of the Rings, but I think it only works if it's done practically with enough time and care like the original trilogy, not like the Hobbit movies. Yeah, this will probably be more like the Hobbit movies, if I'm being honest. But, I mean, the Hobbit movies still made money, so maybe Lord of the Rings fans will watch them. I don't know. But, we'll see. I just can't really speak, because I have no idea if people are going to watch that, because I wouldn't. But yes, moving on. They're making a Call of Duty movie, which I feel like I'm surprised it's taken this long to make a Call of Duty movie, because I feel like this game has been popular, like, my whole life. I feel like I swear I've heard it forever. But, I mean, it makes sense. This is, like, one of the most popular, most played games of all time. If they do it right, it's probably an easy billion, just like Minecraft wasn't, like, an easy almost billion. I feel like this could do really, really well just because the game is so popular. I think this is a pretty surefire win if they don't completely mess it up. I'm really interested to see their take on this. Also, politically, I think this could be interesting because it's, Call of Duty is all about the American military. I'm really curious to see what their take is going to be on the American military today. That could be interesting. This movie could end up being very political, so we'll see. But I don't know. Would you guys want to watch a Call of Duty movie? Like I said, I kind of feel like this should have come out a long time ago. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like this was, like, at its peak, like, 10 years ago. But we'll see. I think people will still watch it anyway. Connor Blue says you only watched the first Frozen and did not like it much. See, I loved the first Frozen. I did not like the second Frozen. I'm still looking forward to Frozen 3 just because of how much I like the first one, but the sequel really disappointed me. You assume Michael Bay will be directing it? I actually think Michael Bay would be the right choice for this kind of movie. If they said Michael Bay is directing this, I'd be like, that's actually a good call. Donaton says, honestly, I probably won't watch it because I don't really know much about the game, but I'm happy for everyone who's into it. This probably won't be the kind of movie where you'll need to know much about the game, because I haven't played the game myself, but I don't think this is the kind of game that's like too heavy on lore, because it's just kind of like a shoot 'em up game. Um, but I could be very wrong about that. Sorry, gamers, if I'm wrong about that. Josh says, I think Call of Duty movie as intense as Warfare could work. Hopefully it's inspired by the Black Ops games. I'm going to take your word for that because I don't know the games that well. I just know that they're very popular. Moving on. So we have more information about the next Knives Out movie. Now, I actually really like the Knives Out franchise. I love the first Knives Out movie. It was like one of my favorite movies to come out that year. I actually like the sequel too. Not as much as the first movie, but I still really enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to the third Knives Out film, and we do have the cast. So the cast is, of course, Daniel Craig, but Josh O'Connor, who's really on a great run right now. Good for him. Mila Kunis, Josh Brolin, Glenn Close, Andrew Scott, who I love Andrew Scott. I'm actually really happy that he's in this. Kaylee Spaney, Daryl McCormick, which is interesting. I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff recently, so interesting to see him back. Jeremy Renner and Kerry Washington, which I love Kerry Washington. The only name on this list I am not happy about is Jeremy Renner, but I'm willing to overlook him. Everyone else, I think this sounds like a really exciting list. So I don't know if this is the most exciting. Actually, I do think this is the most, like, A-list, like, cast that we've gotten. Like, the last two movies were filled with mostly, like, B-list actors and then, like, maybe one or two A-list actors. This one, I feel like, has some bigger names here. Like, we have Kerry Washington, Josh Brolin, Jeremy Renner, just because he was in the Marvel movies. Like, we do have a lot of big name actors here, but then we also have, like, Josh O'Connor is really, like, on the come up. Oh yeah, Glenn Close, obviously, of course. Andrew Scott, he's probably is a B actor, but I really like him. He's always phenomenal in everything he's in, so I'm really excited to see him. So I'm really excited about this list. I think this is a really solid cast. I'm really happy about this one. What are your guys' thoughts about the next Knives Out? Are you looking forward to this? It comes out November 26th. In theaters November 26th and on Netflix December 12th. Do you think this cast is exciting enough? Interesting enough? Are you interested in this movie? What are your thoughts? Yes, it is getting a 3-week run in theaters, so that's exciting. I'm happy about that. The movies are very funny, too. Like, I thought The Glass Onion was actually hysterical. Donna Todd says, personally, I think Kate Hudson and Dave Bautista made the movie. They were so funny. There were a lot of really funny people in that. Oh, Donna Todd, you actually liked it, Glass Onion. I'm glad. Seems like you haven't been liking any of the other movies that we've talked about so far. So I'm glad you like the Knives Out movies. Donata says, as much as I wasn't a fan of what Rian Johnson did with Star Wars, I love what he's done with Knives Out. It's actually kind of a miracle that he's been able to land into a successful franchise post Star Wars, because he kind of blew up that entire franchise. I mean, even if you like The Last Jedi, you have to admit the ramifications of that movie are still being felt today. So it's kind of amazing that he ended up in another successful franchise while Star Wars has kind of been run into the ground. It's honestly incredible. But anyway, moving on. We only have 2 more stories. So, actually, no, this is the last one. So, you guys know that HBO is making a new Harry Potter reboot. I just combined the word reboot and series. They're making a news. Oh my god, can I say words? So HBO is making a new Harry Potter reboot series. There, I got it. So as I've been telling you guys, as someone who has read all the books, and I've read them multiple times, massive Harry Potter fan, obviously, have Harry Potter tattoo. Been to the theme parks in Florida and in California multiple times. I own wands. It's Harry Potter was my Star Wars growing up. I didn't. Star Wars is not like something that I'm nostalgic for. It was not my big thing as a kid. Harry Potter was my big thing as a kid. So, like, I'll always feel attached to it for that reason. And I've been saying that I think that the series could be good. A, because HBO's doing it, and B, because there's so much that was in the books that were not in the movies. Like, whole, like, sections and chapters from the books were not in the movies just because there just wasn't enough time. So I've been thinking, well, if they're doing a series, then they'll have more time to do, like, more from the books, and they won't have to, like, cut out as much. So I've been a little bit more, like, optimistic about this series than a lot of people, just because I've read the books and I know what, there's still a lot else that the movies didn't show. However, I am starting to get a little nervous that it's going to be too similar to the movies, because they're casting Warwick Davis again as Professor Flitwick, and I don't understand what's the point of doing a reboot if you're just going to use the same actors. And it's not even that they're using the same actors. They're like using similar costumes, similar hair and makeup. Even the original director Christopher Columbus, who did the first two Harry Potter movies, he's the one that, like, he designed the world, he designed how the characters would look like, he designed Hogwarts, and he said that he's been seeing these photographs and he's like, you're just doing what I did, you're like ripping me off. And I kind of see his point, to be honest, because they are kind of ripping him off. Now, if you guys remember when we first started talking about this, I said one of the main things I didn't understand about how they could do this series is the fact that they have theme parks. And the theme parks are so heavily designed after the movies. The merchandise is so heavily designed after the movies. How can they redo everything and have everything look differently now than what is already in the theme parks? And it sounds like they're deciding to get around that by essentially not redesigning anything. They're basically keeping the design of the world almost exactly the same, just with new actors, except not entirely new actors, because they're getting Warwick Davis again. So it does kind of seem like they are just doing the same thing again. And I was thinking that they were going to expand what was in the books, but I did see a comment that, like, they're not, like, totally focusing on the books, so I'm like, what is the point? So now even I'm starting to get a little nervous about this series, and I think I was the most optimistic for it. I just don't understand. If you're going to make everyone look exactly the same, if you're even going to cast some of the same actors, it becomes harder to defend for why we're even doing this again in the first place. I don't know. How are you guys feeling about this? Are you interested in this Harry Potter series? Are you concerned like I am? Like, what's going on here? Yeah, the set photos look exactly like the movie. Like, exactly, just with different actors. And I'm just wondering, like, what is the point of doing this all over again? The Blueberry Muffin says, do you think they will keep what Hogwarts looked like because it's iconic, or do you think they'll give it a spin on it? I mean, how do you change how Hogwarts looks like? It is so iconic. There's a giant Hogwarts in the theme parks. The iconography is on all sorts of merch. You can't change it too much. So I don't think they're going to change how Hogwarts looks. I think they're going to keep it pretty similar. Blueberry Muffin, you're up and down. Yeah. Donata says, I'll say I'm curious about this Harry Potter series, but I don't think I will know if I'm excited until I see the trailer. Here's the thing. Everyone's talking about it. Not all of it's positive. But I do think everyone will be curious enough to at least watch the first episode. I think that first episode will be like the most watched TV show of all time. At least for HBO. I think it could be that high. Now, will it stay that high? I don't know. It depends on how good the show is. But I think the hype will be there. Yes, I hope they use mostly practical effects too. But anyway, we'll see what happens with the Harry Potter series. I'll keep you guys updated on what's happening. But this is the first, other than the Snape casting, this is like the first really big thing that they've done where I'm like, I don't know about this. This is a red flag. I love Warwick Davis, but like, why are we casting the same actors again? That doesn't make sense to me. Um, but anyway, that's it for today. We actually talked a long time for like an hour and a half. Oh my gosh. Thank you all for being here. This is so much fun. I'll see you guys again next week. Thank you all for being here. And I'll see you guys then.